Unwrap authentic communication. Unwrap authentic communication. Mark Roberts.
If I were to give you a present that could improve your communication with other people and improve your relationships with other people, would you be interested? Would you take the time to unwrap it? Contest master, Toastmasters, and guests, tonight I want to unwrap this present with you. Would it surprise you to learn how much what we think about ourselves impacts how we relate to other people? When I was in first grade, my mother tells a story. We were sent home to do homework, and we had to come back to school the next day and say where we're from. So the first child stood up, I'm an Italian-American. Second child stood up, I'm German and Polish. When it came to me, I stood up and said, I'm an Irish hillbilly. Where did that come from? Well, with a child's mind, it made perfect sense. My grandfather, Earl Flanagan, came from Ireland. My other grandfather came from West Virginia. Therefore, I was an Irish hillbilly. The shame was he was actually Irish. But isn't it interesting how we look at things with a child's mind? Makes you wonder how many other things we look at with a child's mind. Would it surprise you to learn that 90% of your personality was developed before you were 11 years old? So isn't it time that we maybe challenge some of those assumptions? Tonight, what I want to unwrap is a gift that was given to me from an executive coach. Has anyone here used an executive coach? Can I see a sign of hands? Awesome. I hope you had a great experience like I did. Isn't it interesting? If I want to improve my golf game, I have no problem hiring a golf pro. If I want to improve my workout at the gym, I have no problem hiring an athletic trainer. But when it comes to our lives, or when it comes to our business, we struggle with hiring a coach. That's an interruption for me. Now, what my coach taught me was, when we're born our amazing self, our authentic, pure self. As my grandfather, Earl Flanagan, used to say, we're destined for greatness. But what happened? Over time, we have interactions. Some of them are positive, some of them are negative, but through those interactions, we also have judgments. Positive and negative. And over time, some of us adapt to those judgments with masks. If you're not familiar with masks, chances are you've seen somebody using one. You know, you're in that meeting and somebody has to be the funny guy. Somebody has to be the smartest person in the room. Somebody has to be the center of attention. Those are all masks. My mask was I had to be the tough guy. I created that as a child on the playground. I didn't want anybody to pick on me anymore. It got really old. So I created the tough guy mask. The trouble with masks is it served me very well as a child on the playground, but it doesn't serve me very well in the boardroom today. So how do we make these masks go away? How do we even know what masks we're using? And that's what I want to unwrap with you today. There's a process to do this, and it starts with an exercise called I Am. What I'd like everybody to do over the next 7 days, take a quiet moment, maybe an hour, maybe two, and on the top of a piece of paper, I want you to write the words I am. And write all your I ams. You're going to start with the easy ones. I'm a father. I'm a son. I'm a Toastmaster. But fill them all out. I mean the real ones, the ones that you say in the car ride on the way to work, the ones that come into your mind when you're in the shower. Get them all on a piece of paper. And if I was your coach, what I'd ask you to do next is circle any of them with a negative connotation. Because I promise you, none of them are true. Oh, Mark, you don't understand. Yeah, I do. That's a judgment. It's a judgment. It's a snapshot based on a moment in time. But it's not something you have to carry today. So how do we make those judgments go away? I've believed this my entire life. I'm 55 years old, and I'm still struggling with the tough guy mask. Well, what we do is we have to reprogram it. A thought, repeated over and over again, becomes a belief. So we need to reprogram. How do we do that? It's a simple phrase if you'd like to write it down, or if you want to keep it for when you have your private time. Take every one of those things that you circled, those negative judgments, and start a sentence. I forgive myself for judging myself as fill in the blank. Now that's a start. But to make it powerful, add a power statement at the end. Now I choose to use biblical statements. But you can use whatever power statement you want, whatever motivates you. I forgive myself for judging myself as, whatever you circle. For the truth is, fill in the blank. Now in my example, I was working with an executive coach, and for whatever reason, I had weak on my list. Now that was about 10 years ago. I was benching more than I've ever lifted in my life. I had just finished competing on a national basis in martial arts, but I was carrying around weak. So in this example, I forgive myself for judging myself as weak. For the truth is, I get all the strength I need through Christ who strengthens me. Wow, it even feels better saying it again. So my challenge to you is, what are your things? What masks are you wearing that are interrupting authentic communication and relationships in your life? I'd like you to unwrap that present that we just shared. I'd like you to find your I ams. Circle all those negative judgments, because I promise you none of them are true. And I want you to start reprogramming, because what's going to happen is your mask, it's going to dissolve. And when your mask dissolves, what you're going to find is other people's masks dissolve. And you start having authentic, meaningful relationships with other people.